Hi YouTubers, hi, I'm back with the 23 books of 2023, recording this in 2022, September time, because I just want to get the ball rolling, and it's a very interesting book. Now, it's part of the Disney Twisted Tales, which is kind of like a reinterpretation or retelling, or kind of additional versions of the classic Disney films. This one is quite interesting because it's Sleeping Beauty. Okay, Once Upon a Dream, A Twisted Tale, it's by Liz Braswell, and what if Sleeping Beauty never woke up? Okay, read the blurb. It's quite a long one, though. It's going to actually shorten it for time. Right. With a dragon defeated, a slumbering princess in the castle, and a prince poised to wake her, a fairy tale ending seems certain. But when the prince falls asleep, as his lips touch the fair maidens, his fairy tale's far from over. After binding her soul to the curse, Maleficent now lives on through Princess Aurora's dreams, controlling the princess and everyone asleep with her. For Aurora to break the curse, she must find a way to control her dreams and defeat the evil fairy within them, for only then can Sleeping Beauty finally wake up and find her happy ever after. Okay, so Sleeping Beauty is very kind of interesting within the canon of the Disney films because Aurora has no agency of her own. She accepts the world around her, how it is, but after a certain point, after she finds out that she is betrothed from the day she was born to Prince Philip, who she's actually met previously, it was love at first sight, once upon a dream, did a little dance together, a little song. She is silent. She falls quiet. She is silent as she's taken back to the castle. She's silent as she pricks a finger on a spindle of a spinning wheel. And this book does something I actually do appreciate. It gives her a voice because she has no agency within that film. It is quite disappointing, really. So, this I appreciated. I appreciated that Aurora had more agency. And it kind of went through her mentality and her own mindset. Interesting as well because it opens up with essentially Maleficent, who is the controlling of all this, kind of rewriting Aurora's past to the three fairies who gave her the gift of beauty, song, and well, no one knows what Mayweather's would have done because you had to kind of adapt it, the Maleficent's curse, okay, and it kind of delves into it how Maleficent kind of rewrote everything, that Maleficent was wonderful and sweet and kind, and the three fairies were going to be given to Aurora on her 16th birthday, which was why they gave her all these gifts, okay, and King Stefan and Queen Leah were horrible, abusive parents, and they turned the world around her into Armageddon. It was desolate, it was dying, and to protect everyone, Maleficent entombed them all in thorns. Yep, yeah, this bit here, right. It's taken me 16 years to prepare, but now I should do my best to prevent further evil in this kingdom, she said, her voice still strong. She raised her staff and green light glowed from the crystalline orb at its top. You have no power, the first fairy began. Begone, Maleficent cried. She threw both her hands into the air, and green fire shot from her body. The three fairies shrieked and dissolved backwards. The essence of their being returned to whatever evil place that spawned them. And King Philip and Queen Leah are described as horrible and abusive, and they wind up in the dungeon, whilst Aurora is being raised by Maleficent, who takes over as queen. And within the curse, how it's all done is the people who fell asleep by the three fairies, the three fairy godmothers, they are now linked into this, okay? So whilst they live on in Aurora's dream, they are still living and breathing in the real world, and Maleficent is tapping into their power. However, at a certain point, now, imagine this starting at 16, okay? And Aurora is then raised by Maleficent, and so mentally she's several years older. However, in the real world, she is 16 years old and still asleep. So it is quite confusing in that respect, but within this fantasy, Maleficent is drawing her strength from the sleeping people. Okay, she's tapping into their power, and if they die in Aurora's dream, they die in the real world. Okay, she actually is killing them. Right. However, things start to break, things start to go through the barrier. The fairies who are in the real world with the Sleeping Beauty, with Aurora and Prince Philip, who is lying unconscious, because he kissed the princess and he fell asleep himself. Things start to break through, like a minstrel, who is actually King Hubert. He starts to kind of break free and say there's things out there. A feather comes in as well, and it's very, very interesting. Also, this really taps into the film Maleficent too, okay, which kind of was also a reinterpretation of Sleeping Beauty, which Mrs. of All Evil, she really wasn't. Like this bit here, this bit kind of sums it up, okay. If I ever had a daughter, you can be sure I would keep her close and teach her well and school her in the arts of magic and make her strong and powerful enough to protect herself. I would never let anything come between us. That's from Maleficent. Now, also in the film, okay, Maleficent, Angelina Jolie's baby girl played baby Aurora, and that was such a sweet moment, okay. So that was a kind of little kind of tease on that. That's actually quite clever. I like that. So, and that kind of thing of motherhood, because in her head, Aurora loves Maleficent. In her head, Aurora doesn't realise, okay, that she's basically been gaslighted from within her own brain, her own mind about this. But in the end, now with she also has a servant called Lina, okay, and who is like a guide and a confidant who really resembles a lot of Maleficent in the film. Remember young Maleficent who was cruelly betrayed by King Stefan in that incarnation? That. So, and when she kind of breaks free from the castle, she gets out, she's wandering the land, she actually meets Philip, okay? And one thing I did like about this book, it kind of lampshades the absolute stupidity at times of the original story, of how convoluted and rather dumb it is about these two and how they met. I did kind of appreciate that. I really, really did. It's not perfect. This book is way too long, okay? Right. This bit here, this is when she actually meets Prince Philip, okay? And she's like, how do I know you? Because she doesn't actually know this guy in the real world, okay? Right. We met once upon a... He stopped when he was saying suddenly, shook his head. I came across you in the clearing deep in the wood. I was on my way to the castle. I was supposed to meet the princess I was to marry for the first time. For the first time, I mean, not marry for the first time. The whole thing was arranged when we were children. She stared at him hard. That was too much information in what he said. She had to untangle it from the beginning. So she's like, so you met me and you didn't realise I was the princess. Yeah, it does point out the absolute stupidity, the contrived, convoluted coincidences about the original Sleeping Beauty, and I did appreciate that. I absolutely did. So the going through and kind of, Aurora's kind of questioned a lot of things about herself. We've seen her film her own point of view, and it is really, really, really refreshing how she even points out how stupid her gifts was, okay, when she learns what the fairies gifts to her, okay, like this bit here, I really, really appreciated this. I love this, okay. You don't get it. They gave me Beauty and Song that was left in the woods to grow up for 16 years before being handed over to you. I don't know anything about ruling. I don't even really know what taxes are. I was in the woods, in the real world. In the dream world, I hid like a mouse, then organised balls and parties. Oh, Philip said. Oh, he said again. Well, my sisters aren't exactly being taught how to lead an army to battle. But they're not an only child, she cried instantly, regretting it, how her throat burned. Even Maleficent was right. Even if my parents were hoping to have a male heir after me, they didn't. Shouldn't they have some sort of plan B? It's true. According to Aurora, her parents were cruel to her because, what Aurora's been told. Her parents were cruel to her because she wasn't born a boy. It's a typical air club for men. That's why she was neglected and then basically sold to the fairies. And then Messence swooped in and saved the day. Right. Right. And she even points out how unfair it is that these two kingdoms in the real world are even going to be joined together because, you it's an air club for men. You're a guy. Okay? Right, this bit here. Right. What are Beauty and Song good for? For princess or a queen? Not like to join a wandering band of troubadours. The gifts has nothing to do with running the castle or country and everything to do with being a perfect pretty wife for the prince I was engaged to marry when I was a baby. Right. And she even points out, I don't even know what I feel for you. That we are in this arranged marriage. It is unfair and it is unfair. And I appreciate the fact that it pointed it out. Right. And so, but it does keep going on back to the same thing, okay? Because Aurora is angry, and I appreciated her anger. As a character, she felt very, very flat, but she was flat in the original Cinderella. So I beg your pardon, sorry. She was flat in the original Sleeping Beauty, okay? This book does try to give her some agency of her own, and that's really, really refreshing, okay? And she even starts to question the fact that because she'd been raised by Maleficent, who gave her within this fantasy the love that she thought she didn't have. Okay? How could a woman she loved her and rocked her, raised her, lied to her for 16 years, how could anyone do that and still claim to love her? They could have told her the truth that she was a princess in hiding, and at worst it would have been a lovely game for her to play when she dressed up. At best it would be a distracting, interesting thing to ponder on a most monotonous day. Okay? And that is ascribed to Maleficent, okay, who's lied to her all her life, as also to the fairies as well. Maleficent's lied to her and betrayed her, but so have the fairies in never telling her that she was a princess. Okay, or what her expectations were. Not like, happy birthday, here's a dress, here's a cake, and by the way, you're a princess. That's Maleficent and the fairies she's got angry at. Okay? And she even points out what Philip was doing to her as well was wrong. Okay? Right. This bit here. I was travelling a day to your father's castle. I was going to be formally introduced as a son-in-law to your parents, and then the rest of the court to say hello to a bride I'd never met, and goodbye to a life I had barely begun to enjoy. So, she demanded, you decided you would have one last fling with the village girl or woodman's daughter before being forced into a life of marriage. No, listen, I'm a prince. Apart from highborn ladies and princesses and what have you, you can't tell anyone you're a prince. No one likes you for just who you are. Girls, they assume everyone thinks they can get something if they have a prince. That is true. However, he still treated the whole situation badly, okay? I mean, his intentions were after meeting Briar Rose, okay? And it's a little bit at the beginning when he finds out that Rose, her name is Aurora, he's like, well, can I keep calling you Rose? Because Aurora's seen something a bit too high. It seems a bit unattainable. It's like unattainable. So can I keep calling you Rose? And she's like, well, her name's actually Aurora, but you know, hey, that's not cool. So I like the fact that these two people are in an arranged marriage, but at the same time, they don't know each other. It's refreshing. It is so refreshing that it takes the time to actually develop these characters a little bit more. Maybe not in the best way, because Philip doesn't really understand Rose. Okay, you can kind of see if they'd run off together, they really didn't know each other. And Rose didn't even, well, Aurora didn't even know herself at this point. She was kept away from everyone. She had no friends apart from her aunts, okay? They raised her, they took care of her, they loved her, they rocked her to sleep, but she never had any other isolation. Now it's a case of, well, you're a princess, you're going to come back to a court and get married to a stranger and then want a country. She even points out, okay, how stupid it is, how ridiculous it was in the first place. Right. But she's not done. I mean, Rose does, well, Aurora does go on a lot, okay, about to Philip, so you're in love with me, but why? Because she's questioning so much, okay? And in case she's like, and he's trying to, in a way, I think he's trying to court her. But in this fantasy, this dream world, he's still trying to court her, okay? Right, and she's like, she even can't understand, why are you in love with me? Why do you keep saying you're in love with me? I don't even know you. And this bit here, this is when again they start dancing during Once Upon a Dream. That's why you fell in love with me, she asked, feeling a little bit of energy come back as she spoke a little bit, anger rising through the sloth. Yes, Philip said uncertainly, because I twirled. You were so beautiful when I came upon you, your hair sparkling in the sunlight. You fell in love with, as in, wanted to spend the rest of your life with a silly girl you found spinning by herself in the middle of the woods. But Philip said it wasn't just that. No, she snorted. It was the singing and the cheerfulness. You're the most delightful girl I'd ever met, he protested. You're going to drop everything in your life for a pretty girl because you thought she was delightful? It was either you or a princess I hadn't even met yet. Philip pointed out, you seem to be someone I could spend the rest of my life with, because I was given the gift of song and beauty and grace. Thank you. Thank you. No, Liz Braswell, there's a lot of this book I don't like. It is too long, it's too convoluted. But the fact is, you give Aurora agency, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And also, it talks about a lot about Aurora's time when she was growing up as well in the forest. I mean, when you first see her in the film, she's all singing and happy with the birds. But it talks about how isolated and lonely her life has been. Go on, this bit here. Okay? Philip, she says, searching the words, I have been by myself in the woods for 16 years. It's 5 years too long. I finally met you. You're like someone coming out of my dreams and into my life. Okay? As soon as it was over, it was like it was all on purpose. My ass whisked me away on the night you were supposed to meet them and threw me into a whole new situation with parents I never even known and with someone I never met. Except for the very next day, it was too much. I wanted out. Death was better than living through that much disappointment, and sleep was more than welcome. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. She talks about that. She talks about how depressing her life has actually been. Okay? Yeah. Basically, she has spent her entire life being a puppet for other people. Everyone else had plans for her life. No one's ever asked her what she wanted. She's lonely, she's isolated, now she's stuck in her own head. With this guy who says she loves her, and what she doesn't really understand, who she doesn't know, and he doesn't really know her. Okay? However, this is when Maleficent, okay, she's not in this a lot, okay? This one thing I really disappointed me. Okay, it really disappointed me. Is Queen Lee and Prince Philip. Now, in the original Disney film, King Stefan, okay, and Queen Lee. In the original film, King Stefan gets a lot more of a voice, as does King Hubert. Queen Lee gets nothing. Her voice artist is the same voice artist as the fairy godmother and Flora. Okay, now King Stefan and Queen Lee have always been really kind of criminally underused. In the original film, King Stefan gets way more agency, way more voice. It's obviously his opinion that mattered. Queen Leah gets one single line, it's "Oh no." Okay, she's voiced by Verna Felton, who is the voice of the fairy godmother in Cinderella and of Flora in Sleeping Beauty, and that's pretty much it. Now, in the Disney film Descendants, she is played by Judith Maxey. I did actually write that down. She is a horrible person in that. No, I absolutely couldn't stand her in Descendants when she turned around to Mel and said, "Well, because of your mother being Maleficent, I didn't see my daughter for the longest time." I'm like, yeah, Mel being raised for the last 16 years, okay, on a island which imprisoned her before she was born, and something that her mother did, but hey. So, in the Disney canon, either Queen Lee, okay, in the film Maleficent film, okay, she's killed off screen, and she is never shown her opinion. Okay, the fact is that Stefan tricked her into marriage because it was, you know, the one who killed the wicked fairy, which is Maleficent, who wasn't that wicked to start with. Right. In this, King Stefan and Queen Lee are killed off. They're killed off in the real world, they're killed off in the dream world, and they die. They are killed off. Okay? And not as if they have no agency, okay? It's the fact that Queen Lee gets nothing. She gets, for all this time, she's either depicted either off screen, dying off screen, voiceless, one single line, okay? Or being a horrible person as in Descendants, and in this, she's just killed off. Okay? They're both killed off. It's annoying. It's absolutely annoying. This bit here. Queen Lee, her mouth twitched and pulled from side to side like a hideous puppet as her sad, peaceful features melting and expanding with desperation. It had been terrible to watch the others be killed this way, but the fairies had known the king and queen since long before they had taken the throne. These humans and their daughter, who the fairies had watched over, were the closest things to children that they ever had. They get killed off. I'm not happy about that. It's like, that's just a mighty cop-out. Aurora never meets her parents. If she escapes from this dream, Aurora does not meet her parents. Okay? Right. But within the dream world, the fairies kind of break through and say to Aurora, yes, we are not your aunts. We are your fairy godmothers. We are the fairies. And this bit here. Okay? Maleficent publicly cursed you to die on your 16th birthday. Then Mayweather fixed it with a bit of amendment with you falling asleep. But unbeknownst to us, Maleficent tied a star up in the curse. Had you actually died, your life force, and everyone else in the kingdoms to a lesser fate would have been transferred to her. Instead, when Philip killed her, Maleficent's star was still bound to you and followed you into your sleep. And of course, we can all see what the result of that was. Right. Maleficent really planned this. When it comes to the original film, she was so inept, and she was. They sent her guards to spend 16 years looking for this baby, okay? And they said, oh, we looked in all the cradles because they were so dumb. They've been looking for a baby for 16 years because she couldn't be asked to look for it herself. Right. Right. But the reality is the fact that she's a girl in this world keeps coming back into play. Okay? Right. All the goddamn time is the fact is that because even if she wakes up, she's still a queen. Now, my country has had several very, very good, effective queens. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II. So the fact is that women can't be so rulers. Okay, it's absolutely ridiculous. Right. Mm-hmm. With your parents dead, it would be terrible. There are no male heir. There will be a terrible mess when you wake up, assuming we defeat Maleficent. The blue one said. Will I take over the throne and defend it from the spurious claims of distant cousins, or may Philip and combine your kingdoms, or some variation of these situations? None of them will leave you much time to visit childhood haunts. Right, making it clear, even if you wake up, you've got to May Philip. Okay, you have no choice in this matter. Right. Okay, you had absolutely no choice in this matter. It's for yeah, all the goddamn time, all the goddamn time. So throughout this is Aurora just, you know, doing her thing. She finds out that she can kill Maleficent, or someone of royal blood can kill Maleficent. So she has to basically, you know how what Philip did in the original film, go in there and charge and kill Maleficent. And this is her dream. She's in control of it. She's got to take control of her dreams. Okay, have to coordinate her psyche and kill Maleficent in her dreams. And then the curse will be broken because of royal blood. Right. But when she does meet up with her again, okay, she actually calls her out, okay, on what started this whole ridiculous thing in the first place. Right. Mm-hmm. Through your death, I will live again, after being murdered so callously by your prince. Murdered, you were trying to kill him, because he was trying to save me, and you had deluded Maleficent. All of this, came about because of the curse you put on me as a baby. A baby because you weren't invited to a party. Your parents had no respect for me and the powers that I willed. You cursed a baby because you were slighted. Right. Yeah. That's it. That is exactly it. So, jumping ahead. So Aurora basically gets the magical tool that she needs. She fights back. There's a bit as well with they meet like a wandering like kind of minstrel, and it turns out to be King Hubert. And you think that in the real world he's dead, but he's not. But once he's been exiled, because it's been several years from his aspect, he's been having a great time. He's been having, seriously, he got kind of booted out from the palace, wandered around again in the mental landscape of Aurora's mind. But he's been having adventures, he's been fighting, he's been, you know, trying to find his son, but living his best life. And you give him to believe, okay, the fact that he's dead in the real world, but he's not, he actually survives. So, but there's some nice tender moments here between father and son I actually did appreciate. And, but, when it's all over, and the ease of killing Maleficent was so goddamn easy. You know how in the original film, Maleficent, it's a bit more edge. You know how in the in Maleficent film, okay, King Stefan falls to his death. Okay, it's that level anticlimactic. It really, really is. As soon as she wakes up, it's a case of she's got to bury her parents. She's only 16. Now mentally she's older, okay, but she's got to bury her parents. She's got to take the throne as queen. She's got to try to sort everything out. Really got no idea what to do. She's figuring out she goes along, and everyone basically is looking down on her, even though she's a princess and now they're queen, because obviously she's female. Of course, we couldn't resist that. Okay, right. hmm And this is when all these advisors and aides wake up. Right. hmm Did I not face a dragon unarmed while the rest of you fled to the protection of the woods? The man blanched. I haven't her. Oh yes, remember it well. Please don't do pretend it wasn't real. Aurora Rose funny said, try not to hiss the way Maleficent would have. Of such no ordeal, believe me, I'm quite capable of taking over civic matters. If you have some disagreement with my manner of doing things, it may cause being other conference with me privately. And from this moment you address me correctly as your majesty. So she takes control of her own kingdom, and maybe she will get with Philip. But she's going to rule by herself, which is good. Agency. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. My issue with this book is it's way, way too long. And I liked that it pointed out the issues of the original film. I mean, Liz Braswell actually did her research with this and observed a lot of the media, like Maleficent and that kind of thing. But okay, but of course, Mayweather, Flora Thorne, and Mayweather. I didn't like their incarnations, okay, in the Maleficent film, and I really didn't like them here either. They seem just useless, okay, right. And there's also a dig, okay, this is Mayweather, okay, about monarchy. I'm like, after the damage you've caused, you couldn't resist digging, right? hmm Right, and this is when Aurora calls her out, Jamaica, and how they raised her, okay, right. Will you try being bound by human rules and human law? Mayweather snapped. What do you brilliant house slaves came up with the idea of people just inheriting the rule of the land, instead of choosing the best person for the job? Why don't you do what the king said? Your own rules, people. We loved Rose, we still do, and if we didn't make the best choices as parents, Flora said, wistfully touching Aurora Rose's hair. We'll do better with our next baby, Fauna promised. Right. Aurora Rose felt her heart stop. She loved her aunts, she forgave her aunts. She was growing bitter and angry with every second she spent with them. She did have in her own way a free childhood out of the woods than many a princess did. But she would never ever give up any child of hers to them. Right. So, yeah, it does actually talk about there's other options, okay, but they decided to burn all the spindles, okay, and just get rid of Rose for 16 years. Yeah. So, overall, I liked the fact that Aurora had more agency. I did not like the fact that they killed off Stefan and Queen Leah because always been so criminally underused. However, as a retelling, I enjoyed Aurora Rose having more of a voice, taking control. And one bit that I didn't read out is when she actually basically says she was aware of the being under a spell, being aware of the spindle, but she did it because she was so depressed, okay, that her life had been chosen for her. She had no other voice in the matter, and I found that very, very refreshing. So, Once Upon a Dream, Twisted Tale, Sleeping Beauty Never Woke Up. It's interesting retelling. I like some aspects, but it's way too long. It is over 400. It's 446 pages, and it could have lost a good third. Okay, but interesting to understand Aurora Rose's psyche a little bit better. I'm signing off here. I know.